Okay, I want to show you about scribbling. Okay, so I'm sharing my board here. This is in our, I just zoomed in so you can see this nice and big. In our week 7, I put a bunch of photographs for you to see, and this is the write-up about the scribble assignment, okay? So I'm just scrolling here real quick so you can see scribbling the form, you're not just outlining it, and scribbling the negative space, and then scribbling both, right? So I want to just explain this real quick. I'm gonna pop in here and go to this image here. And there's a bunch of photographs that you can pick from to use. I'm just gonna start with this one up here. I'm gonna scroll up, and I'm just gonna use the annotation tool that's in Zoom. Okay, so I want you to notice, right? So this is, I would call this like trapping a negative space shape. So I'm just sort of, what I'm drawing here is what I would be looking at with my eye, okay? And when I look at this here, if I go right across, I kind of notice this makes sort of like a triangle shape, right? And I'm gonna start to draw this, and I'm not gonna try to outline and draw I'm not gonna go like this and try to outline and draw the shape, right? But I am looking at that shape here. I'm gonna start in here, and I'm gonna start with a negative space shape here, and I'm going to really kind of notice that like I'm scribbling and filling in this shape, and I would be looking at this, and I would know that line there. I just sort of trapped it from this point here over to the top of this one, right? And I would notice that shape, okay? And what would be left is that contour edge. I would notice how this like sort of dips in here a little bit here, and this sort of slants off a little bit more, and it comes to this peak, and it's pretty even right in there. Cool? And then I would scribble, and I would maybe notice like, oh wow, if I shot straight up to where the tip of the pear was there, then I would start to look at this shape in here, right? And I'd kind of look at, it's like a backwards lowercase n, right? And I would sort of notice maybe how wide it is compared to this shape, this one that I just drew, how wide that is. And I'd be curving up, and I'd be coming down. Whoops, I went a little too far in my scribble there. That would be okay. And I'm sort of noticing that, and obviously this comes together here. And then I would do the same thing. I would maybe like let my eye go zoom, zoom, zoom like this, right? I would maybe notice that if I kept going at this point, it curves down just a tiny bit, and then it starts to rise up, right? And I'd be looking at, I just want you guys to see this. If this is straight up, if this would be going, that's not straight up. If this is going straight up, right? This would be going like 45 degrees. I would start to notice that at this point here, it kind of goes 45 degrees, maybe a little less, right? And I would kind of notice, you know, I might like scribble up and straight here, and I might go straight across like that, and notice, you know, with my eye, right? And so this is how I would be getting that scribble portrait. Cool? And I would really kind of look at it. And then here I'd maybe, you know, like I would kind of come around, and I'd go like this, and I'd maybe notice if I went straight up from there that this doesn't connect like that. I might like, you know, kind of notice that little shape here. And now look at this. I have, if I'm scribbling in here, when I drop straight down, like scribble, 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 right? Now I can kind of, I'm rising up. I've noticed how this section here that I'm scribbling in, this little, you know, triangle dagger going down. This is like my original one over here that I'm scribbling over again. That's like a triangle dagger going down. This was a much more even triangle. Over here I would kind of notice, right, I dropped straight down from the tip of the pear stem up there, that one there, and as I rise up, this is a, you know, steeper, it's almost more like a little dagger shape, right? And I would kind of notice this shape in here, okay? So I am going right up against these outlines, but what I'm not doing is I'm not like going like this, right, and like drawing each pear separately and then filling it in. Cool? So that's kind of the idea. And I would definitely, some of the other things I would point out to you guys is like right here, I would, you know, where the edge of like the table or anything else, like, you know, hits on something, I would use this as like, I would, you know, start my scribble in here, right? And I would think about how that hits here, and I would kind of be scribbling up, and I would notice how this like curves and goes to that little point there. And I would notice how wide that is, right? Same like this here. If I like scribbled straight up like this from that edge, and then I would notice how I could like curve in a little bit here, right? And I'd be like, right? And if I shot down, and I know that this is straight across too, so I can like put that in there, right? Same thing like in here, I might when I'm inside here, I would definitely like look at these little relationships, these little like trapped little negative space shapes in here. And I would kind of notice that shape, the little ones that are tiny. This right here, I would definitely notice that stuff like right in there. And then later on, so this might be where I might just scribble in where the cast shadow shape is. You know, it's dark there and it's dark underneath here. It's dark underneath here. So this isn't a negative space shape. I'm like putting in where the cast shadow shapes are underneath here. And I would just put that in, but then that would help me out with kind of like looking, like I would know that this went straight across here like this. And I would go up and I'd see these, you know, these kind of little curved spaces there. Cool. All right. So we're going to stop with that one. That's the negative space one.